right. I am incredibly grateful to be able to introduce our speaker today, Cindy Edison. Her story is one of the most fascinating I've ever heard, but she was pretty much, living a normal life. And then she got overtaken by some spirits that ended up grabbing her attention and taking her on a wild ride in life. And before I turn the mic over to Cindy, I wanted to give one of our members a chance to just kind of say how she heard about you, because I was on Facebook one day and a member of our collective reached out to me and was like, there's this woman that you have to have on the Quantum Healing Collective. And it was kind of divine. So I reached out to you. And that's the beautiful thing about this collective. It's a family. And so Lee, all the way from Australia, had reached out to me and said that we had to get in touch with you. So Lee, if you just want to say a couple words before we turn the mic over to Cindy, that'd be great.
Sure, no worries. I think it's been a bit of a journey for me, this whole Abraham Hicks and Joseph and Cindy. And on my journey, I came across Joseph's teachings via obviously Cindy. I purchased all her books. I devoured all the knowledge, and it's honestly been life-changing for me since this time. And I basically just think Cindy is amazing. And I'm very, very excited that she's here with us today. So thank you so much, Kyle, and thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, take it over, Cindy. Welcome.
God, I'm verklempt. Wow, Lee, so nice to meet you. Thank you. Give me a minute. You guys are overwhelming. Wow. Throughout this journey, it's difficult for most of us know that. And there are times for me, many times, having a hard time talking. Lee, thank you. God. Anyway, and many times I said, I'm throwing in this towel. I can't do it anymore. It's when Esther and Abraham say it is leading edge, they are not kidding. It is, it's a journey toward freedom. And it has been an amazing journey for me, as it has been for all of you. And I am grateful, to you guys so much. Just beautiful meditation, and brought tears to my eyes when I thought of those things. That was amazing for me. But thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to let you guys in on this message, that Lee has gotten, obviously understands. We are, do you want me to just start talking, Kyle? Because
dive in. Yeah, I'm so excited.
The first conversation I had with you was amazing, and I could feel I get goosebumps covered. I'm covered in them now. I've been covered in them for 15 minutes. The energy in this group is amazing. So thank you for having me. Joseph is the evolutionary consciousness of Seth and Abraham. And they tell us that, so as a demonstration, everything spirit does, however you refer to them, spirit, I call them my soul. It doesn't matter what it is, the God consciousness that's within us. And we are demonstrating the evolution of consciousness, and as it pertains to the human aspect of our soul. Which is a big deal, because what we're doing is we are assisting in the expansion of the human aspect of the soul, expanding us beyond the realms of fear, so we can walk into our new human aspect who will live on the new earth. We are the consciousness of the new earth. And as you can see now, Joseph and I are constantly blending, and we are also demonstrating how the new human aspect will live on the new earth in constant communication with our higher selves, our soul, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, the God consciousness within us. So we don't go into a meditation anymore. I tried to in the beginning of my journey because everybody else did it. So I said, well, that must be the way to do it. And they said, okay, go through your ritual, Cindy. We'll sit over here and wait. And wait they did. And ultimately, I understood what they've been telling me for many years, which was all you need to do to connect is to focus on us. Focus is the key to connect to your soul. Focus is the key to everything, every movement forward. It's focus and intention and manifestation. And everything you see is a manifestation of vibrational agreement. So Joseph comes in and says, okay, now it's time to expand our physical aspect, which is the human, right? Into a place of no fear so we can live on the new earth. We don't pack our bags of fear. We move forward beyond the realms of fear where we are just choosing love all the time. And you're manifesting from love, which is why we push. And when I say words like push and stress, they're certainly not Joseph's words, they're mine. They're our human words, so you guys can understand what they're saying. And that is not to go back and try to fix anything that we've been through. That those were experiences that got us here. And the more experiences we have, the more we expand into more of who we are, which is the God consciousness. So we are an aspect of our soul. And this is what Joseph starts out teaching us about the aspects of the soul. And I refer to it as, when they first explained it to me, I refer to it as a pumpkin pie. And the pumpkin pie, and I chose that not only because it's my favorite pie, but because the filling, the guts of it is there's a lot of ingredients in it, but you can't really tell the ingredients apart. They look like one color kind of, right? But it doesn't matter how thinly you slice that pie, pudding-like pie, the one bite or the whole pie is as powerful, and it contains every ingredient that is in the pie, which means we have the power of the whole pie, which I say is the soul, is the God consciousness. So we're moving beyond the realms of fear into a more loving awareness of who we really are. And that is love. So we're taking our egos with us. Lee, you know how we refer to the ego, which is a huge shift in the current human aspect understanding. And that's one part of why we're here, which is to shift the understandings and belief systems that have been built over eons of time, actually since humans have been physical. You know, we have lived in the contrast. We have lived in the realm of fear, choosing where when we say the realm of fear, we mean that there is a consciousness of fear. We call it out of alignment choosing. It's a consciousness of denseness that is there for your choosing. And the purpose of that is to choose love. And that's what we're about. We're about choosing love, shifting our perspectives, huge step. Shifting of perspective is the first step in change, because until you can see something from a different angle, you can't live it until you can imagine it, right? So we all know that. So I don't know when I should stop talking. So anybody, go ahead, Kyle.
Cindy, that was great. If you could just tell us a little bit about, like, so your journey, like, you know, you, from what I read, you were working a job and then all of a sudden you got this energy that overtook you. Could you just tell us about, like, how Joseph has come through you and, like, different, like, you know, all the books and everything, the moments that he came through you that were important and significant? Not that any aren't, but.
Yeah, well, you're right. There's highlights and there's 20 years worth. So it's not, you know, it's a long story, but I'll tell you how Joseph came in. I was in advertising for a long, long time, 35 years. And I sat down one night to write a magazine article and sitting there just minding my own business. And I started typing. I'm a laptopper. So I started typing, and the first two words were "Dear Cindy." And I went, what the hell is this? This is really weird. And I just started typing. It's weird when I think about it now, because I wasn't thinking about what my hands were doing. I was thinking about what I was hearing, which was weird for me. But anyway, 7 pages later, they basically said, we're going to shift things. And frankly, I still have it, but I haven't read it in a long time, but a couple things that they touched on in there, the most important thing that I didn't understand till years later was in every paragraph, they took the opportunity to say, live it, live it, live it. And I had no idea what they were talking about till many years later. Anyway, that turned into a daily conversational, who are you? What do you want? Am I really hearing you or me? The same thing that most of us go through, right? And the answer was always consistent, still is to this day, which is we are the same. We are the same. We are the same. Doesn't matter who we are the same. And it took me a long time. So over the course of many years, I began to understand who they were. So fast forward to 2014, I think it was, I was happily writing and I was talking to the masters. Jesus was a big influence on me, Mother Mary, Saint Germain. They all came in, the Archangel Michael, and I felt very comfortable. I had been guided to visit energy healers. Didn't even know what it was at the time, but went because I was very curious. So was getting kind of in touch with energy, kind of, never really understood it, but I was going for some reason. Anyway, 2014, I was a big Hay House radio listener at work, and I was sitting there listening to shows. Never heard of Abraham, never heard of Esther. All of a sudden, within about a week, the advertisements for Abraham seemed like that was all I was hearing, and Esther's face popping up on the screen all the time. And I was, who is this chick? I don't know who she is. So I looked her up, found their show on Hay House. The first one I listened to, I was hooked. And I sought out everything they did. So over the course of about maybe 6 or 8 months, as I'm talking to, I thought Mother Mary one night, all of a sudden I heard Abraham and saying, we are Abraham, we are Abraham. And I, of course I went, yeah, right. Of course, that doesn't happen, whatever. So after I got through all that crap, they finally convinced me, and they were teaching me who they were and saying, when Esther retires, the consciousness is going to expand, and there are going to be teachers teaching from this consciousness, and you are one of them. So for about 2 years, I thought I was talking to Abraham, which I was, so I could understand it. I was very happy in that. I was believing everything. I had confirmation from my teacher, who was channeling Abraham for me when I went to get validation or whatever we do, and she was telling me the same thing they were telling me. I had no reason to doubt it. I got the opportunity to have a session with Paul Selig one day. So I took that opportunity, and I was so excited because I'm going to say this because most of us who are channelers, from what I understand anyway, my own experience lines up with it. When we are channeling, we always think that somebody who has been channeling before us, the teachers who came before us, are so much better, and their messages are so much more clear, and they know better than we do what our guides are saying. So I was in that group, and so I was so excited to talk to Paul. Wonderful session, very exciting. When we finally started talking about my channeling, he said, well, that makes sense. And I said, I'm channeling Abraham. And he said, no, that's not how it works. Now, after 2 years, you can imagine that all of a sudden I was pissed. And I said, wait a minute, now I think I'm being duped, even though I had so much validation. And he said, well, I don't think that's the way it works, but let me go to my guides. And the guides came in and they said, there is a group who is teaching through her, and she needs to ask for a name. So I was mad, but at that point I was confused. So I went home and I was just sitting outside and just not really thinking anything, but trying to figure this out, not really mad, but just really confused. And all of a sudden I saw in my mind's eye, I guess, this propeller plane that, the kind you see when you're at the beach. Like if you're at the beach on summer break in Destin, and they have those propeller planes that fly in front of you. They say, big party tonight at so-and-so, drinks half price or whatever. So here's this propeller plane flying in front of me. And the first banner read Seth, the second banner read Abraham, and the third banner was blank. And they said, that's who we are. And I understood in that moment that they were showing me a progression of this message, which is why it had to be Abraham, because they didn't have a name yet. All of their purpose is all based on timing. there's no linear time there. It's all event driven. Everything is event driven, and the events are vibrational agreement, which is what causes evolution. So at that point, I knew who they were. That was in the summer of 16, I think, or 17. I don't even remember. And later that year, they told me, go away for a month, which I was excited and grateful to do. Go away for a month and let's write the first book. And it wasn't until they signed the welcome letter, We Are Joseph, that I even knew their name. And I signed it regular spelling Joseph. And then they set up an appointment for me with Carolyn, who was my teacher, for the day I got back from Florida after a month. And they said, you're spelling our name wrong. And they said, it's Josef. And I said, okay. And then they went on there to say there will be this many books and this is what we're doing. And it's been a constant evolution of this message ever since. So they tell us, in a nutshell, they tell us that they are the evolution of this message because they're demonstrating for us the expansion of consciousness. And as the consciousness expands, we have the opportunity, and we do anyway, but we have the opportunity to expand consciously with the consciousness, which means to participate in it, participate. So now they're teaching us how to do that, how to walk toward the love and out of the realms of fear, so we can in turn simultaneously create the new earth and step into the new human aspect, who are both existing in their non-physical form. And anybody who manifests or knows anything about manifesting, and we all do in this group, right? You guys are all amazing teachers. And anybody who knows anything about manifestation knows that, as Esther describes it, you shoot off the rocket of desire, which is the pure vibration. It's like, I picture it as I'm throwing a hard ball, and that's how fast it is. I'm throwing a hard ball, and Joseph is catching it, and they're holding it in that purest form. And when we line up with it, when we have vibrational agreement with it, alignment, it manifests. And so the desire, that's what it means when they say ask and it is given, because as soon as you request it vibrationally, it's all vibrational. Remember, it's all vibrational. And you request vibrationally, it is held in its purest form. And then sometimes I think about it as, climbing a rope on the side of a mountain. That's what it feels like sometimes to get into alignment, and move past the resistance. So that's basically who we are and what we're doing.
And now, have they given you insights into like what the new earth will look like? If you could just, you hear so much talk about the new earth.
Yeah. Actually, Brian asked us that question, and we kind of laugh, not laugh at the question, but it's funny because it's a whole new way of thinking. It's a whole new perspective. So when we say that the new earth and the new you and the new us too, all existing in our vibrational form, everybody will experience the new earth exactly the way they imagine it to be, which is how you experience your physical earth, exactly the way exactly the way you intend it to be. That does not change. The process of creation does not change. Your procedure, the way you get there, uniquely you, changes based on what it is you want, but the process never changes. So it will be created by you, for you, by way of your intention. But remember that the creation of the new earth comes from the creation of and stepping into the new human aspect. And everything that you will live as the human aspect and on the new earth is created from alignment, from the space of love. So we will say to you, it will look exactly how you picture it. Cindy pictures it as the evolved Garden of Eden, and she puts lots of flowers that have no names, and there will be those. There are discoveries that will be physicalized in the new earth that you have no awareness of at this point, because those discoveries are held within this consciousness that we are offering you. And so this is a walk toward us, in other words.
Wow, that is just all so mind-blowing. And this will be the last
Yeah.
question before I open it up to the group. But could you just tell us about the second book? Because that was the conversation that you and I had over the phone that really blew my mind. And you know how you went away and
Um, I've got a little issue here. Like, this is a stupid story, but I had computer problems before I signed on. So I got my laptop and it just said, your battery's about to die. So can you excuse me while I go get my cord?
yeah,
I'm
take it
sorry,
down.
everybody.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry. Take me 3 seconds. I'm sorry. Let me get out of my little hole here. Okay. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. You know, I just got back from the beach and I thought it was charged, but it wasn't. Anyway,
Uh,
thanks, everybody. Okay.
yeah, so the last question I had was, could you just tell us a little about the second book? Because that was the conversation you and I had over the phone that was mind-blowing.
Yeah. I love the second book so much. The second book is the intended message of healing, but I'll tell you that I understand now that the reason they're using the word healing in that book and in the first 4 is because that was my understanding. We have since shifted, and the new perspective of healing is actually expanding. Joseph's perspective is that we are not healing from anything. We are just moving beyond the realm of consciousness where you believe you need to be healed. When you get into our consciousness, there is no healing because there's nothing wrong, and we don't see anything as ever being wrong. So what Joseph has done in the second book is they introduce us, which I was blown away by, and I think you were too, Kyle. It was amazing. The 12-step program, which I was unfamiliar with. I mean, I knew what it was, but I had never read them. And that kind of came out of the blue. And what they've done is they turned it into what they're calling the evolved version of the 12-step program, which is the 7 steps to self-discovery and healing. And what it is it's kind of like a guideline to who the new human aspect is. It's the new perspective of the new earth and the perspective of the new human aspect, the 7 steps. And they're statements. They are statements for evolution, for expansion, in the recognition of who you really are as the human aspect of the soul. So the second book talks about energetically shifting your perspective from there is something wrong with me and what I'm doing for whatever reason. And it's not directed at substance abuse or alcoholics. It is not directed. They don't see anything wrong there. They don't judge. There's no judgment there, remember? But they said to me not that long ago, your collective is addicted to fear. We are addicted to fear if you think about it. When somebody says, I have a friend, I'm going to go on a cruise. And the first thing she'll say is, oh my God, what if it's hurricane season? And what if goes right to the darkness? And a lot of us do that on a regular basis. We're always looking for what is wrong with this situation. So Joseph has offered us these 7 steps to self-discovery. And it's really the perspective of the new human aspect that's buried in there.
Yeah, and just a little backstory of why that was so fascinating is Kristen and I have had a conversation for a while and everybody about making a workbook for this group. And Kristen had got a download that there were going to be 7 steps. And so Cindy,
Amazing.
I was fortunate enough where she sent me that second book and I read it and I was like, this is, I think this might be it, like already done. So
Yeah.
I was definitely blown away how the universe works. But I know there's a lot of people that probably have some questions, so I'm gonna open it up. And Cindy, thank you so much for everything.
Oh,
That was
thank you. Appreciate it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just you can raise your hand if anyone sees anybody with a question. Let me know. I see Angela.
Hi, thank you very much.
Hey.
It's good to see everyone here. Um, I feel very strongly about channels and channelers. I really enjoy it. My first experience would have been, I don't know if you remember that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? But I mean, it's got to be 20 years ago now. But somebody had channeled, I think Ramtha was the name. And
Yeah.
I know over the years I've listened, I've read Chiron Seth, yeah, a little bit of Chiron Ra. Um, I do have something that bothers me, and this is absolutely, you know, my human mind grasping at this. I appreciate very much that you use the pronouns they when you're speaking of Joseph. Um, and at the same time, it still is, um, they still have a male name. And I think I have felt a growing frustration of, obviously, in the spirit realm, in the higher realm, in all that is, gender is not, it does not exist. And I am very aware of that. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and I don't see a difference between, me or, people of other, different gender identifying. And at the same time, I am uh, you know, a, a bit of a, maybe a feminist. I don't know what I am aware of the underrepresentation that some groups get in the world, and women being one of them. And I think I certainly do feel some wounds from that I work on a lot. So I guess my question is, um, the frustration comes from, I at times feel that we as women are even underrepresented in the channeling community, because all of the entities that come through have masculine names, and again, I've had the whole disclaimer about how I absolutely understand that they don't really have a gender, but at the same time, then what is the reason, do you think? And do you have any insight on why most of the entities have more of a male name they go by? The Great White Brotherhood, Jesus, he goes a lot. And Mary, a little, she's really the only one that I hear. One of the main ones, the only women I hear is Mother Mary, or Mary Magdalene. Like, so anyway, that is a question. I would absolutely love to get you some insight so I can move beyond this.
Well, there are many things that we could say to that, and it's not the first time we've been asked that question. If you will understand that you're absolutely correct, there is no gender. We only name ourselves for your purpose. You are welcome to call us Josephina if you'd like. We would rather you focus on the energy of the message and what the message is saying, other than a label, which is one reason why we choose one. Most, not maybe most, many channels choose no name. They call us spirit, or they call us, there has got to be a label for the human, because we are, which is part of why we're here, which is to shift you over to the vibrational thinking, as opposed to labeling. When you label something, you determine what it is by a label. But if you'll notice, your male counterparts are also channeled by women. So if we put it in your terms, then we think that maybe some women might be, this is coming from the human perspective, some women might be better channelers than men. So maybe we can put that in your other side to balance it out a little bit. in your feminist view. And we don't mean that in a harsh way, of course, but this is a human, you're right. This is actually a good opportunity for you to move past the contrast that you're almost blocking your way to the message because you're hung up on, well, why are they called Joseph? We don't care what you call us. You can call us anything you like. It doesn't matter. We, the combination of the name was chosen by our collective us, which includes Cindy. So there is no rhyme or reason to it other than it is a label that we use for you. So we would suggest that there was always complete balance, always total balance in every area. What you see is unbalanced in your perspective, but it's not from ours. So there are many what you would call female angelic figures or prominent female energies that are being channeled all over the world. We would say that you are not aware of all of them, and you would find balance if you looked. You would find balance, and you would find balance in men who are channeling with women's names. You can search them out and find them if you really want to. We prefer.
I guess I'll search more in terms of like the manifesting, like in
Yes.
terms of like having them come in my life, because the internet has not been good for that.
Well, that's right, depending on how you use it, right?
Right.
Well, we would suggest that whatever name you need to use to move past your blocking of your receiving of the message, we would say use it. You're welcome to call us Josephina or any female name that sits well with you. As long as you get the message, we don't care. We just don't care. There's no rhyme or reason for it that makes any difference to any message that's being brought forth through any channel. And there are millions. Just because that a channel may or may not step out, depending on what the purpose is, may or may not step out into the masses like many do, because that is their purpose, to educate and to bring forth new understandings to the masses when the masses are ready to hear it. But there are many channels who never go more than 2 or 3, and that is their purpose. And one is not more important or more impactful than another, because if one person, Cindy has said, if one person hears this message clearly, I will have done my job. And no truer words have ever been spoken by anybody, because that's the purpose of the channel, which is to bring forth information to expand. And as you hear it, and as you expand your own vibration toward that of love, you influence and expand the whole universe. You influence and expand the human collective. And the human collective doesn't understand the individual power that makes you up. Every one of you, Abraham has said for years, one in alignment is more powerful than a million who are not. And we say that is the tip of the iceberg. The bigness of who you are is not fathomable by you yet, but it will be soon. It will be soon. So we would say, recognize that as a belief that is held in your current denseness, and choose to move beyond it. In that, take the name as what it is, as just a label for something. Call it a hot dog. Call it a cup. It doesn't matter what the label is. What the important part is, the message, not how it comes through necessarily. Although many people are drawn to the theatrics sometimes, but always through the authenticity of the channeler. And the channeler is put in its position by way of choice before it ever got here. So the name is irrelevant. It's relevant to you because it's making you go, wait a minute. You are in a judging state when you are seeing it as something that is not fair. And you must understand that everything is always in balance, whether you recognize it or not. There is always balance. And the judgment that you have is out of alignment with your soul. And so this is, Cindy annoys a lot of people because she's constantly pointing out it's out of alignment, it's out of alignment. So of course, and people get sick of hearing it, because a lot of what you guys are living through is choosing alignment or not. This is what your day-to-day, moment-by-moment living is. And when you focus on, am I choosing from alignment or choosing from an out of alignment state? Every time you make a choice that's out of alignment to begin with, and you stay on that trajectory, and you stay on that pathway that you're building, because every time you throw out a thought and you latch onto it, you start to create a pathway toward a manifestation that will come from that belief. So, and the manifestation could be, and usually will be, that you're seeing more and more channelers who are women channeling men. But you're saying they're channeling men, but we are not men. We are a consciousness. We are a vibration. We are not a gender. So we don't care what the name is, because it doesn't matter to us, nor does it matter to our message. So we would say that your belief that it is out of balance or somebody's being slighted is certainly out of alignment. And in order to bring yourself back into alignment, what happens when you do that, you will start to see other beliefs that line up with that belief that is out of alignment, that when focused on will cause the manifestation of that belief, which is out of alignment too. You cannot manifest something that is of love if you are choosing from a place of out of alignment. If you're choosing from fear, you can't manifest love. You have to choose from love to manifest love. And when you choose from fear, you manifest fear. So you manifest this angst in you saying, wait a minute, now you're judging. Wait a minute, this is another guy steps in. And we're saying, no, shift your perspective. We're not a guy, we're a consciousness. So, and as you expand your awareness to understand that in a different light, just see it differently, that we're not a man, we're a consciousness, then other beliefs that you have that are kind of, when you walk down that path of those beliefs, other ones kind of latch on, they're like mosquitoes that latch onto you when you walk through a mosquito farm. So, and because you're attracting like beliefs, when you have beliefs that are judgmental and are caused by, something that you believe in, it's always based on experience. And experiences are manifestations of the beliefs. So it's a circular logic, You have to choose from the space of alignment to manifest something that's in alignment.
That was fantastic. And thank you, Angela, for that question. That was such a profound lesson. I see Joey with his hands up, but I have a question real quick before I go to Joey. When you respond like that, is Joseph coming through you in those?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
The more we're blended all the time. When I say I, because they demonstrate too, I'm supposed to be showing, I'm learning with you guys. So, they're teaching me, and then I say, well, this happened to me. And so in human terms, this is what it is. And this is what happens, So yeah, it's a continuous blending. Blending. And this is to demonstrate that everybody does this. Everybody can do this. Beautiful. Everybody. You all have Josephs or Josephinas or whatever you want to call them.
All right, Joey, go ahead, bud.
All right, thank you so much. Cindy, thank you so very much. This is phenomenal. Actually, Abraham and Jerry and Esther were a big part of what got me on this entire journey. So it's phenomenal that this is even happening. And really, my question is sort of for Joseph. I guess it's about us as humans, and it seems that we're always in this as humans. We have this want to know what's actually going on, and as soon as the answer seems to show up, it's like a fractal, like it drops in the pond, and then it opens up like thousands of other ones, and then those create the new questions, and then it opens up more, and it seems as though I feel like the human race, especially right now, is just grabbing for okay, what's really going on and where are we going? And I feel like even when we get that answer, it's like the next drop to create the next fractal. Maybe Joseph can speak to maybe that idea that we might need to just let go of the fact that there is a direction. Maybe, I don't know if I'm accurate in that, but yeah, thank you so much.
Well, Cindy can't think of the word to describe how you just described that. It was perfect. The way you described it, as soon as it's asked, it's put in, and it's dropping the stone in the quiet lake, and it ripples. Yes, because that's what happens during expansion. So everybody's running. What's going to happen? There's so much fear on your planet right now based on what's going on. However, everything that you're experiencing individually and as a collective, and we're going to asterisk that for a minute. When we say the collective, we're talking about the dominant collective, because you all have your individual vibrations that affect only you. You create your own reality. Regardless of what's going on around you, outside of you, you are always, always, always creating your own reality. So you can take what's going on outside of you, the pandemic for one example, and you can choose to participate in that reality or not. You have a way of, we call it collective grouping, where first of all, you don't trust yourselves enough, nor do you know enough of who you really are to trust yourselves, to understand who you really are, so you don't have to participate in the realities that you don't want to participate in. Most of you will say, well, everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too. We call that collective grouping. That's when you sign on to believe something that the soul of you does not believe, but you sign on because other human aspects are doing it too. And you don't want to be talked about. You don't want to be scared that you're making the wrong choice. You don't want to trust your own gut because there's a million people who are doing it this way. So that way must be right. And we say that is never a way to make a choice from our perspective. And so that goes back to, so we're getting a little off track, we understand that, but we want to point out that the reality that you create for yourselves always takes precedent over another reality that's available to live. And there are unlimited probabilities and possibilities for you in every single moment. You can choose any one of them. You can choose, you choose your own beliefs every single moment. And you act on those beliefs, whether they are what we would call experiential or influenced into you by someone else or someone else's thought process, or whoever talks louder gets the biggest audience. So what we will say to you about what you're talking about, and we get asked this a lot, of course, everybody does, and everybody answers it differently, and we'll give you our answer. We are the vibration of movement forward. So we say to you that the upset that has happened this year, what you call upset, we see as a shift in consciousness. Everything is a shift in consciousness, and everything, nothing could be predicted, although there have been many, and there will always be predictions. We don't make predictions because we example and we encourage moment by moment choosing. And we say you will experience what you are choosing moment by moment. So you can choose from the fear, and you can choose, and that will create your reality that you experience in the physical. Or you can choose from alignment, and you will live that reality as well. These are all choices for you. So you are creating in every moment. So how the pandemic that seemed to most of you to begin this shift that we're going to continue to call a shift, because it is being experienced by the human collective by choice. We knew there would be a shift, of course. That's evolution. There's always shifts. There's always shifts. And so we knew, of course, there would be a shift. We would never predict how it was going to happen. That's up to you, because this is not only a physical shift where you all have complete control. And that's what scares most of you, of how powerful you are. And most of you, unfortunately, don't know yet how powerful you really are. Hopefully, through our teachings and many others, that you will become more and more aware and move away from those choices that have been made over eons of time that create this chaos that you're living in. And you can either choose to focus on the chaos and continue to create it through your focus. This is another area where you are so powerful that you, Joey, when you focus on and get caught up in all of that that's going on, you are adding to that vibration of the collective fear. Cindy chooses not to take that route, even though she's gotten caught up in it a couple times, but she chooses for the most part not to take that route and to move away from the opportunities to choose from it. You must be aware of your own journey. They gave me this just this morning, you guys, and I think it's for all of us to hear, and that is to keep our own journey as the human aspect, to keep our own evolution. We're shifting big now. So, and that's because the energy is moving faster, it's gaining momentum, right? Goes faster and faster. So, so our choices, our moment by moment choices are just that, in the moment. They said it's almost like putting down a paver in front of you while you're simultaneously stepping on it. You're creating that, your own pathway that quickly. So, when it comes down to, I'm getting ahead of myself here. When it comes down to what will happen next, it's all of your choosing. So we started encouraging Cindy back in January, before anything really happened, where she could actually see what was coming. And it's a shift in consciousness. It is not, we're not going to go there. It is not anything more than that, but the results of a shift in consciousness, the manifestations. We told her early on, we want you to begin focusing only on your own alignment. Don't go outside of your own alignment. Now, of course, as humans, difficult to do that coming off of eons of living in fear, right? So we have to be taught how to be who we really are, and that's focusing on alignment. So when you focus on alignment, that means you're creating your own reality from the space of alignment. And when you're focused on alignment, you are spreading the love to your collective, to the universe. You're expanding the love quotient of the universe every time you or me or anybody else. So if you imagine the collective all focused on love, we have said many times that and then we'll stop. That if every single human aspect for 60 seconds was in alignment, you would all be experiencing the new earth exactly the way you perceive it to be for that 60 seconds. When there is no resistance, you move vibrationally.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, Joey, for that question, and thank you, Cindy and Joseph, for that incredible answer. I see Bob and Vicky with their hands up. Just gotta unmute, Vicky.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I'm a tad confused. So, like, when you talk about, or anybody actually talks about source and, being in alignment, am I mistaken to think that, or spirit, our spirit guides and whatever, am I mistaken to think that the messages are coming through as your your intuition? All right. So are they coming through as our intuition? And when you're quiet yourself, whether you're just sitting down to be quiet or whatever, and you're focusing on your consciousness, you may get messages that way. Or you could be doing something during the day and all of a sudden a thought comes through your intuition. Is this all the same? And I know, like, law of attraction, what you focus on, you bring about, and I totally into that. So because you're talking about Joseph, and I'm a little confused about, I don't know if I can wrap all this up and say it's my inner voice. Is that all the same thing, your inner voice?
Yes, we would say yes. That is there's, again, with the labels, there are so many. there are so many labels for it. And because there are so many labels, everybody defines labels differently. Everybody defines labels differently. So what you might call your inner voice, some might call their higher self, some will call what we call the soul. It is the God consciousness. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is a vibration of the more expanded version of you. So if you know who Bashar is, this was my first clue uh, years ago. I'm a big fan of Bashar. I always have been. He's just awesome. And I remember I went out to see him in Sedona, and somebody in the audience said, "Who are you?" Daryl Anka is the channel, and Bashar is the entity. And if you don't know who it is, look it up because he's amazing. Anyway, Bashar says to us that he is an ET. Bashar says, "This is who I am," and they talk about some really cool stuff. And they said, Bashar is I don't know what the word is. Bashar has one name like Seth, Abraham, right? And they say he's one. They don't, Daryl doesn't refer to him as they like we do. But somebody said, "Who are you to Daryl?" And Bashar said, "We are Daryl in your human terms, 300 years in his future." So when I heard that, I understood that to be the expanded version of him. Over the years, I came to understand that the Joseph of me, the Joseph of you, the Bashar, the Abraham of Esther, the soul of us, the more expanded version of us, that is a consciousness that exists on another vibrational timeline. That timeline is not in the resistance. The timeline is not in the denseness. There's no fear in this timeline. So this is why when you say things like, I can hear things when I'm just sitting quietly and thinking about my consciousness. I can hear things. You're in alignment, you're hearing. And there are times when I'm so busy at work and all of a sudden I get this thought. That's because you have no resistance to the thought. Sometimes we think too hard on the thought and we say, "I'm going to sit here until I get the answer. I'm going to sit here." And we have so much resistance to not getting the answer that we just take ourselves right out of alignment. But when we distract ourselves from it, the answer comes like that, because all of a sudden we have no resistance to hearing it and we're wide open. We are who we really are. So we would say, yes, what you're referring to is absolutely that higher self of you, the more expanded version of you. It is you, and you are it in its physical form. Like I am Joseph in their physical form, which is kind of funny sometimes.
Thank you. Bob has a question.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. It helped to make it less confusing.
More connection to exactly what you're talking about. My question has to do with Kyle kind of brought it up, the subject of the second book, which I haven't read it. I'm sorry, and actually I've just been introduced to you today. But you speak of either a new world or a new earth. And I got the feeling that maybe Kyle was speaking more of a physical earth, and I believe you kind of steered it back to more of a metaphysical type of representation of earth or world or whatever we want to talk about. Because my feeling is, even though we do what we can and keep marching forward with, practicing the art of the law of attraction kind of stuff, getting your brain in the right place, getting the vibration set to reach goals, help people, kind of all of the above. That's an internal vibration that we know can impact other people's feelings, other people's minds. It's, the stuff that us electrical engineers can't understand. But once you open yourself up to, you realize that that's true. You can actually impact other people with the vibrations and the sheer effect of the inner human we are. Now, but now the dominant, you speak of dominance, dominant collective, and what my feeling is there, in the physical world, there's negativity, there's the pandemic, there's people killing people, which it's just nasty to even bring up here, but the fact is, all that stuff is always happening. And the focusing on your own positive message with all those distractions is kind of gives me the feeling that the physical world, and actually I want to tie it back to I meant to do this, the new physical world or the new metaphysical world. It's like the new physical world will always have those, like my feeling made it very negative, but will always have that opposite of good. That'll always be there. Because I think without the opposite of good, you really can't almost recognize what good is. But that's where I kind of get this feeling that when you speak of new world or new earth, it's really just the vibrational earth or the metaphysics, because the actual earth is just, we're always going to have these challenges, grabbing our attention of the bad things that happen. So I guess, do you have a feeling that the actual world we live in is going to have an epiphany where there's now we're there, everyone's thinking straight, everyone's in alignment? Or are you really thinking in terms of still our view in our own space, getting the physical world of our internal, metaphysical, observational? I kind of lose the words. I am just an electrical engineer, so so.
Well, we applaud you on your electrical engineering.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing to think that it's possible to change the whole physical thing that's happening outside our physical doors as we walk around. But I can see how the law of attraction, thinking, keeping your focus on your goals, focus on how they make you feel, the steps of manifesting and all that stuff is what we kind of focus on. So I just have a feeling that the outside world isn't really, there as the goal of fixing. You know what I mean? The new earth, the new world. So can you touch on that a little bit? Or I'm not sure if
there's a lot of stuff in there. There are a lot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
First, we will tell you that from our perspective, the words "is not possible" don't exist. So that's the first shift in perspective we would ask you to consider. We know as an engineer, it's difficult for you to make that choice, but we will say to you that you're looking at a vibration that has manifested over eons of time. There isn't a number that exists for the eternal nature of the denseness that has created this earth that you're experiencing now. And we will asterisk that, but that you are experiencing, because another earth exists in its non-physical form right now. And we are the representation of that. We are the vibration, the consciousness of that new earth. So for you to understand, for you to make this shift, you do understand it, first of all, on a soul level, which is why you're having trouble with it. Your human aspect is resisting it because your human aspect is very logical. And your human aspect says, well, there always has to be contrast in order for us to be physical. And we say, yes, in your current human form, that is correct. And that's why you are this current human form. You are your body, your physical body was constructed and is a manifestation of this physical energy that created this physical world, just as the new human aspect, the new species of human aspect of the expanded version of you, or the expanded version of you that you're moving into, will not live in contrast. So that's the first thing we asked you to consider as truth, because the human aspect, the way it sits right now, the density of your body, there are a lot of things that the new physical body will not contain because there's no reason for it. There will not be an immune system. You don't want to be immune from who you really are, which is pure love. So you don't need an immune system. You don't need a dense skin to ward off the dense vibrations. You have to think about this shift in total vibration, just vibrational. You can't look outside your window, as you say, and see all the murdering and see all the burning and all that's destroying what you see. When you look at it, it's destroying your earth. And what we see is a shift in consciousness, and we see the more light that comes in is always a perfect balance to what you call the darkness. There is always perfect balance, which is why you are seeing the manifestations of this fear vibration expanding. If you could sit on a space station, as we did, when pretty much, and it was over the course of a few hours maybe, when your entire world was made aware of this pandemic that was created, you would have seen the light on your planet dim, because the entire world is now in fear. So if you can visualize from a human perspective what that could look like, as opposed to the entire world of human aspects being in alignment and the brightness of that light, we're trying to put it in visual terms so you can see how we're defining the collective human aspect. There is a collective and there is an individual. There are many of you, Cindy is one of them, really, that are living a beautiful, wonderful, peaceful existence right now amidst what is happening in this other reality. So we're saying to you, it may not be, and it certainly isn't, if you want to stay abreast of what you are being told is happening, we would say that it is probably best for you to do your own research in places that you feel comfortable in order to be aware of what's going on. And we say, be aware but not afraid, because the more time you spend being fearful of what you're seeing and what you're being told does not help you. So in order to, we say, save yourselves first, because this is an individual journey more than anything. And the individuals come together in alignment to create and to walk forward into the new human aspect, and who will create this new earth in its physical form. But you cannot say there cannot be a world without contrast, because we are living it. So we're asking you to move beyond your own limitations and your own limited beliefs in what is possible. And until you can do that, you can't even, until you can imagine living this new earth experience vibrationally, you cannot live it physically, because it must be created in its non-physical form first, which it is. And we say, here we are. And your new human aspect is waiting for you, coaching you, calling you forward. Come forward to me, move beyond the fear, release the resistance, because they are illusions. It is not who you really are. So the only thing we can tell you is that you must, it is a journey of trust, and it's a journey of trusting who you really are and getting more in touch with who you really are, as opposed to focusing on who you're not. And that focusing on who you're not is the fear. But the reason that you have chosen the contrast, you all chose to come here, and the reason you chose it was so you could choose your way out of it. So you could teach, it was an experience for the human aspect of the soul to expand beyond fear, to choose, to understand first that you have choice in every moment, and to choose your way based on knowing who you really are, which is pure love and the power of your choosing ability, to choose your way out of the fear. So we're not suggesting that you look at a burning building where people are killing each other, and yeah, it's really awful. But we're not saying to look at it and say it doesn't exist. We're saying to recognize it as choices and manifestations that are out of alignment for those people. But that is not to say that you can't choose something else. You are unlimited, multidimensional beings who can choose every single moment of your existence. And you must be aware of that so you can choose to participate in your own evolution. You have got to choose it. the more you focus on and choose out of alignment beliefs and social influences based on nothing more than opinion or nothing more than an agenda of some kind, of someone, somewhere, do your own choosing. Go by your own soul. Your guidance is there. Your guidance is there 100% of the time. Use your ego. Use your ego to understand. We don't know how many of you here understand our perspective of the ego, but the ego is your friend. The ego is the balance to us in the third dimension. We communicate with you emotionally. When you are in alignment, you can feel us. You can feel the love. When you are making a decision that is based in alignment or from the space of alignment, it unfolds like clockwork and everything falls into place and it feels good and it feels right. And when you are choosing out of alignment thoughts and creating out of alignment momentum, your ego is throwing negative emotion that we don't get involved in. But your ego steps up and says, stop it, stop it. You are out of alignment. You are not going to like this outcome. The negative emotion, it doesn't matter what you're choosing. If you are getting negative emotion, that's your ego, the indication that your ego is doing its job. It's playing its role for you, for us, for all of humanity. Your ego steps up and says, you are choosing out of alignment thoughts with your soul. And if you continue to choose these, you're going to hurt more because those thoughts are out of alignment. And they will manifest out of alignment circumstances, situations that you are looking outside your window at today. That's what those are. Everything that you are living is an illusion of contrast. That doesn't, when we say illusion, we're not saying that it doesn't exist. We're saying choose something else. Esther says, choose a thought that feels better. This is what she's saying. This is what Abraham is saying to you. We're saying, choose from the space of alignment. If it doesn't feel good, don't choose it. And when you are consciously choosing, you will create a pathway for yourself to your new human aspect, into the creation of the new earth, and all of the purpose that you are here for will fall in front of you. When you're in alignment and focusing on your own alignment, you are on a pathway where you're just walking and singing and just joyful, and the doors are opening at the right time. The events are coming. When you are in vibrational agreement with your next step, the events will present themselves. So we say, be aware, but not afraid. Be aware of your own ability to choose your own way, and you will find it much more satisfying.
Wow. We have time for one more question, and I see Bruno's hands up. So go ahead, Bruno.
Okay, hello. Like me, I can't say I'm living in fear. I'm not afraid of anything, really. But at the same time, I feel like I have so many different choices I could choose for my life path. Like I could do this or this. How do I know which is the best choice for me? Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. And we love that you, wow. Yes, we know. I'm bubbling over here. So they're saying, yay, they're applauding you because they're saying to be aware that you have all of these choices is such a huge part of the journey. So we would say that all of those choices are available to all of you in every single moment. And we would say, choose any choice that brings you joy. Choose any choice that brings you joy, and choose 10 at a time. Choose unlimited at a time. You are multidimensional. You can choose anything you want at any time. You are never too old. You are never too boxed in. You are never too, you are never in a place where you cannot do something, where you cannot choose something else. This is where your free will is made powerful, and it's through your ability to choose. And when you are in that space of knowing that, and knowing that you have unlimited choices, we say bravo. We say bravo, and that is amazing. So we say, get into alignment and choose something. And maybe it's a choice that'll bring you joy for 30 seconds. And we say, bravo, choose it. And then choose another thing and another thing and another thing. Just keep choosing joy. It doesn't matter how it comes. Just keep choosing it. They're all right. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. There is only choosing from alignment or choosing from out of alignment. There are no mistakes. Stop damning yourselves. And we're not pointing that at you. We're on a roll. So we're just saying, just choose from love, and you cannot ever be wrong. You're never wrong anyway. You're just experiencing the manifestations of your choices. I mean, we say choose out of alignment so you know when you're in alignment. When you choose out of alignment, you're not going to like your manifestation, but that's up to you. And if what you get from that choice is the inclination that you could choose something else, then that's all that's important.
Okay.
Say relax about it and just choose joy. And if you don't like what you're getting, choose something else.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The money.
So Cindy, before we do one thing at the end where we say this prayer for everyone awakening at this time, but before we do that, I just want to ask you, there's so many people that are saying they want like more of your stuff. Claudia had actually said she was hoping someday you would put your books on Audible.
I'm getting there. You know, Brian Scott has already done the prelude to the work and the welcome letter for each book, so they're waiting for me. So awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah.
Where can everybody find you, your material, just for anybody that's looking?
Yeah, the Teachings of Josef, that's with an F, Josef, .com. And we're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, The Teachings of Josef, and we're on Instagram. Some of you know the quotes, the daily quotes that Josef has been doing for years, and they're fabulous. So I'm all over Instagram. They're posting their quotes 3 or 4 times a day, and that's a great resource too. So follow us on Instagram, and yeah, and we're on Amazon with the books. On the website, we'll take you to Amazon, or you can go straight to Amazon. But that's our stuff.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was absolutely incredible. And we meet every Sunday. So if ever you and Joseph want to come hang out,
I'm telling you, I'll be here every week. This was so much fun for me. I have been one big, huge goosebump for an hour.
Well,
so it's been so wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Just wonderful. I'd love to come back anytime. It was really fun.
That was so incredible. So Kristen reads our dedication of merit. So I'm going to unmute Kristen.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was beautiful, and so much of what you said resonated on such a deep soul level. I think the human aspect of me still needs to like integrate all that, because like higher wisdom. So like the human aspect is trying to understand it and align with it, which it's always fun work. So thank you so much for speaking to us today. And what we do with all of that energy that we generate and that heart frequency that we broadcast is we kind of take that accumulative energy and we dedicate it. So we dedicate the merit of this meeting to all of those who are awakening at this precious time. May our efforts to better ourselves help shift the planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great day. And thank you, Lee, for introducing us to Cindy. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Appreciate that. Thanks, Kyle.
Bye, guys. Bye, Joseph.
Bye.